Good evening. This is the seventh video lesson of magnetic effect of current. In previous class, we have discussed about the magnetic Lorentz force on a charge moving in a magnetic field. We have discussed about angles of projection also. If a particle is projected at right angles to the field, it will move in a circular path, and if it is projected at some angle into the field, it will go in a helical path. So this end points I am making a note of it. So all of you please make a note in your notebook also. First point, if charge is projected at right angles into magnetic field, then it moves in circular path. Second point, if the charge is projected at some angle into magnetic field, then it moves or describes in a helical path. What is helical path? Helix is the combination of straight line motion plus circular motion. Motion is common. Okay, right. Now we will do one important application of magnetic force on a charged particle. We compare the radii described by two different charged particles when projected into the same magnetic field. So that question I will briefly describe it on the board. So question is, a proton and an alpha particle are projected at right angles into a uniform magnetic field. Number one, first case में with same velocity. Second case, if they are projected with same momentum. Third case, with same kinetic energy. Then what is the question? Then compare the radii of the circles in which they move. This is the question. This can be a 1 mark question, this can be a 2 marks question, this can be a 3 marks question depending on the number of bits it's asked. Okay, right. So the concept is a charged particle projected into the magnetic field with some velocity v at a 90-degree angle, that is right angle. Obviously, it experiences a sideways magnetic force known as magnetic Lorentz force given by F equals to QVB. This is the magnitude of force. Of course, QVB sin theta will be there. Now right angles बोल रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे. So theta will be what, 90 degree. So sin 90 is 1. So the force on the charged particle is QVB. Okay. So now this will become a centripetal force, this F. So we will substitute mv square by r, so that we will get r equals to mv by qv. So mv square by r equals to qv into v into b, and this gives rise to r equals to It will go that side, velocity mv by qb, and this we write as p by qb. This also will be written as root over 2 km divided by qb. So these three equations, children, we have discussed yesterday itself. So therefore I am directly writing them. So here P stands for momentum. Now let me take first case. Yeah, you should know what is proton and what is an alpha particle. Proton is nothing but a singly ionized hydrogen atom, that is 1H1. In hydrogen atom there is only one proton, and around that proton there is an electron revolving. This hydrogen atom does not have a neutron in the nucleus. So if there is a question at all, that is it necessary that the number of protons should always be equals to number of neutrons? No. Neutrons can be more than the protons, neutrons can be equal to protons, there cannot be any neutron also. So which is the example in which there is no neutron in the nucleus? Means hydrogen atom, 1H1. So this 1H1 in its nucleus, it has got only one proton, there are no neutrons. This is the nucleus. Around this there is one electron that is revolving in the orbit. So this is also known as Bohr's hydrogen atom. If I remove this electron from the atom, so you are left with only one proton in the nucleus. So that proton is nothing but this one which we are referring in the problem. So therefore, what is proton means? It is singly ionized hydrogen atom whose charge number is 1 and atomic number is mass number is 1. So for this, Q of proton equals to 1 and mass of proton equals to 1. Am I clear? So you have the practice of writing charge number at the bottom and the mass number on the top in chemistry. The same thing I am following. Then what is alpha particle? This is a doubly ionized helium nucleus, helium-2, 4. Okay, this is the nucleus of helium. What is this 2? Charge number. What does it indicate? It indicates number of protons. So therefore, there are 2 protons here plus 2 neutrons will be there inside, and around this there are electrons revolving in orbits. If I remove these 2 electrons, it is left with only 2 protons and 2 neutrons in the nucleus. So total mass number will be what? 4. 2 protons, 2 neutrons. So mass number will be what? 4. And charge number will be only 2 because neutrons do not carry any charge. Only protons will carry the charge. So these 2. So therefore, for this what you write is charge on alpha particle will be 2 units. What does it mean 2? It's a 2 unit. What is 1 unit? 1 unit is nothing but 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. 1 unit is not 1 coulomb, children. Please remember. In atomic scales we are writing this. And this is mass of alpha particle is nothing but 4 units. What is this 4 unit? 4 atomic mass units or 4 unified masses. 1 unified mass is 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kg. Okay, AMU definition you know it is 1 by 12th of the mass of the carbon 612 isotope. Okay, fine. Now once you have this idea what is proton and what is alpha particle, you can take up the cases one by one. Right. Now, let me take up the first case with same velocity. So which equation I can take? R equals mv by qb I can take. mv by qb. What is m? Mass of the charged particle. What are the particles? Proton and alpha particle. Do they have the same mass? No. They have different masses. This is a variable. What is v? Velocity of the charged particle. What is first bit? They are fired with same velocity. So v is going to be a constant. So circle karo isko. What is q? Q is the charge on the charge of the particle. Do these particles have same charge? No. Proton is having 1 unit, alpha is having 2 units. So this is going to be a variable. Now what is B? Magnetic field. So both of them are projected into the same magnetic field, are projected into a uniform magnetic field. Only one field is there. So B is going to be a constant. So now I can write this equation mathematically, R proportional to mass divided by charge. So now I am comparing for proton and alpha. I am writing the subscripts. So this will be mass of proton by charge of proton whole divided by mass of alpha, charge of alpha. So if you do the reciprocation of this one, mp by qp into q alpha by m alpha. Okay, now substitute. Mass of proton 1 unit, charge of alpha 4 units, charge of proton 1 unit, mass of alpha, okay, charge of alpha is 2 units, this is 2, mass of alpha 4 units, so how much? 1 by 2. What is this? Answer is radius described by proton by radius described by alpha. His final answer is 1:2. So which is moving in a circle of bigger radius? Alpha particle is moving in a circle of bigger radius. Okay. So compare the radii means Rp by R alpha equals 1 by 2 or Rp is to R alpha equals to 1:2. So Rp is to R alpha equals to 1:2 or R alpha is greater than R proton. So different types of questions will be asked. Which is describing a circle of bigger radius? The answer is alpha particle is describing the circle of bigger radius. Compare the ratio of the radii, then Rp by R alpha equals to 1:2. So when you are attempting the MCQ, just observe, is it asked Rp by R alpha or R alpha by Rp? If it is Rp by R alpha, 1 by 2, R alpha by Rp, it will be 2 by 1, 2:1. Both options will be there, 1:2 will be there, 2:1 will be there. So which way the question is asked accordingly, the answer is to be selected. Okay, right. So for this case with same velocity, alpha particle will go in a circle of bigger radius. Now we will go for the second one. Second case, both of them with same velocity. So two, same velocity, same momentum. So which equation you will take? R equals to P divided by QB. So momentum is same for both of them. So P is a constant. Do the particles have the same charge? No. They have the different charge. Now they are projected into the same field. So D is going to be a constant. So R is proportional to 1 by Q. So R proton divided by R alpha equals to 1 by Q proton whole divided by 1 by Q alpha. So this automatically will be reciprocated. So this is Q alpha divided by Q proton. Charge of alpha is 2 units, charge of proton is 1. Now observe children, Rp by R alpha equals to 2 by 1. Here Rp by R alpha is 1 by 2. So now it is a proton that will go in a circle of bigger radius, twice the radius of the alpha particle. So Rp by R alpha is 2 by 1, Rp is to R alpha is 2:1. Now radius of the circle described by proton is greater than radius of the circle described by alpha particle. Observe this difference. Answer will not be same all times. Fine. Now we will take the third bit. What is third bit? With same kinetic energy. Right? So which equation you will take? This equation. So bit 3. So R equals to root over 2 into K into M divided by Q into B. 2 is a constant, children. Both of them are fired with same kinetic energy. K is constant, but mass is not constant. Mass of proton is 1 unit, mass of alpha particle is 4 units. So that is going to be a variable. Q of proton is 1 unit, Q of alpha particle is 2 units. So Q is going to be a variable. So B is a constant. Now I will write R is directly proportional to root M in the numerator, Q in the denominator. So taking this further, you have R proton divided by R alpha equals to root over mass of proton by charge of proton. Charge should not be in the root, it should be outside. So root of mass of alpha by charge of alpha. Keep the brackets, it will be clear. Now this will be root over mass of proton by charge of proton into charge of alpha by root over mass of alpha. So this will be, these two I can write together under root of mp by m alpha multiplied by q alpha by qp. Mass of proton 1 unit, mass of alpha 4 units and a root multiplied by charge of alpha 1 unit, 2 units, charge of proton 1 unit. 1 by 4, root is nothing but 1 by 2 into 2 by 1 is nothing but 1 by 1. So Rp by R alpha is 1:1. See how beautiful is this question. One time proton is taking a bigger circle, other time alpha particle is taking a bigger circle, and another time both of them are moving in the circle of same radius. Means if this is the magnetic field, okay, so पहले आप proton को project करो ऐसा with same kinetic energy, it will be moving like this. उसके बाद 1-2 सेकंड के बाद अल्फा पार्टिकल प्रोजेक्ट करो, ये भी यही सर्किल में घूमते रहेगा. पहले प्रोटॉन चलते जाएगा, उसके पीछे पीछे अल्फा पार्टिकल चलते जाएगा. ओके, अगर the case is different, this is proton, then this is alpha particle. If this is alpha particle, this is a proton, and if this is alpha, this is proton. So it will change accordingly the physical quantity, velocity, momentum and kinetic energy. So all the three cases we have discussed. Very, very important numerical. Right. So now there will be another important question in this, that is, so what is the work done by the Lorentz force on a charge moving in a circular path? What is the Lorentz force? F equals to qv b sin theta is the Lorentz force. This is written as F equals to qv cross b in vector notation. That means force is always acting perpendicular to velocity, perpendicular to displacement. When a force acts perpendicular to the motion, work done by such forces will be always zero. What is the work done by gravitational force on a satellite? Satellite is revolving. Its velocity is always tangential to the circular path. Okay? So tangent of the circle, radius of the circle along which the force is acting, both are perpendicular. Suppose now this is a charged particle which is moving like this. Its velocity is like this. So there is a force on it, which is nothing but centripetal force, QVB, will be acting like this. The angle will be always 90 degree. So work done in case of 90 degree is always what? 0. So work done by centripetal force is always 0. So magnetic Lorentz force does no work on the charge moving in the uniform magnetic field when it is fired at right angles. Fine. So this is one more question. So I repeat, what is the work done by magnetic Lorentz force on a charged particle projected at 90 degree? 0. Because the velocity or the motion of the charged particle is always perpendicular to force. Okay, right. Now another topic related to cyclotron. Okay, but cyclotron is not there in the syllabus, but the concept is very important. That is motion of a charge. Motion of a charge in combined electric and magnetic fields. They are also known as crossed fields. Crossed fields means the fields should exist perpendicular to each other. Electric field must be perpendicular to magnetic field, then only you will call them as crossed fields. Okay, right. That means you have created a region in which there is electric field available as well as magnetic field available. Electric field you are going to produce with the help of a parallel plate capacitor. One plate will become positive, other plate will become negative. So electric field will exist uniformly from positive to negative plate. And uniform magnetic field you are going to create with the help of a solenoid. You will take a long solenoid whose length is large as compared to the diameter, and when you pass the current along the axis of the solenoid, there will be a uniform magnetic field. So in a region, you are creating these two fields simultaneously. Now you are allowing a charge to move in combined electric and magnetic fields. Then in such case, what will happen? Force on the charge due to electric field Fe vector equals to Q into E. I am using this subscript only to denote this is the force of electric field. Similarly, force on the charge due to magnetic field Fb vector equals to Qv cross B. Low range magnetic force. Now, net force on the charge due to two fields together is F equals to Fe vector plus Fb vector. I do not know how the forces are acting. Are they acting in the same direction? Are they acting in the opposite direction? Are they acting at perpendicular directions to each other? Or they maintain some angle from 0 to 360 degree. So without knowing anything about the angle, I can very safely write this equation in the vector form. Net force vector F equals to electric force vector plus magnetic force vector. Children, I can write this equation in the scalar form Fe plus Feb only when I know that both the forces are acting in the same direction. I can write this equation in the scalar form like Fe minus Fb only when I know that these two forces are acting in the opposite direction. I can write the scalar form as Fe square plus Fb square only when I know these two forces are acting simultaneously on the charge at right angles. But without knowing any angle at which the forces are acting on the charged particle, I can very safely write and every time this equation F vector equals to electric force vector plus magnetic force vector. Okay, right. So this will be F net equals to Fe is nothing but Qe plus Fb is nothing but Qv cross B. Qv cross B. So this will be written as F equals to Q can be taken out E vector plus V cross B vectors. You know children what is the name given to this one? Low range electromagnetic force. Low range electromagnetic force. If only this part is there, QV cross B, that we call it as low range magnetic force. If it is added with electric force, then we call it as low range electromagnetic force. Okay. So basing on this, now we are going to discuss about a concept that is called what? Velocity selector. That means, suppose you have a picture tube in your television where an ion like a proton or alpha particle is accelerated in combined electric and magnetic fields. You know that as it is in the motion, the charged particle, it can have force due to electric field, because of which it will deflect in one direction. And at the same time, if it is acted upon by the magnetic field, due to magnetic field also it gets a force because it is in the motion. If this force is exactly opposite to the force given by the electric field, then the net force on the charged particle will become what? Zero. It moves as if there is no field existing. So in order to compensate the curve or the parabolic path or change in the direction produced by the electric field, we take the help of the magnetic field to move it in a straight line. If electric field can accelerate, but remember children, magnetic field cannot accelerate. It can give only centripetal acceleration. It cannot give a linear acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is acceleration in the circular path only. Okay, so the direction is keeping on changing. Magnitude will remain same. But linear acceleration is velocity will be going on increasing. Whereas in the circular path, velocity remains constant. Means magnitude of velocity remains constant. Speed will remain constant. magnitude of acceleration will constant. In linear motion, magnitude of velocity will increase, but the acceleration will remain constant. So in order to compensate the curvature of the path produced by electric field, we take the help of the magnetic field in order to make the charged particle to move in a straight line. So though both the fields are existing simultaneously, the charge will move as if there is no field existing. It is because the force given by electric field is balanced by the force given by the magnetic field. That we see now. So basing on this, we have a velocity selector concept. Velocity selector. That means at what velocity this ion or a charged particle should move in combined electric and magnetic fields so that it does not experience any force. Okay, right. Now, what are the conditions? Conditions are, for velocity selector, conditions are: number 1, electric field must be perpendicular to magnetic field. Then only you call it as what? Crossed fields. Second one, force due to electric field. Okay. What is that? Electromagnetic force. No? The net force, the net force on the charge must be 0. Must be 0. Then automatically, when you get this equation net force 0, you will arrive at the velocity selector. Now, look at the board. You have a parallel plate capacitor. So this plate is positive, this plate is negative. You know that electric field will exist from positive to negative. So this I write as what? E, electric field. Now, I will take a charged particle, maybe a proton. I will fire this perpendicular to this one with a velocity v. Now the charged particle is entering into the electric field. As soon as it enters in the electric field, the charged particle being positive, repelled by the positive polarity, attracted by negative polarity. So it has to compromise with these two forces. As a result, instead of going in a straight line, what it will do? It will go in a parabolic path. It is similar to a body you throw parallel to the ground. What will happen? If gravity is absent, it will move in a straight line. But gravity is very much there. It exerts force on the ball. So ball will take a curved path. It will move in a parabola. That we have discussed in class 11th as horizontal projectile. Same thing. This is a horizontal projectile. Because of the electric field, what will happen? Though you have given the velocity, velocity will mobilize the electric force. Therefore, it will take a curve. Now, I will produce a magnetic field throughout this vicinity in such a way that how much force the charged particle is experiencing downwards, I have to create the same amount of force in the upward direction. For that, what I do? I take the help of a solenoid. So, I take a very big solenoid and I keep it over here. So, like this, my solenoid is growing perpendicular to the board like this. So, depending on the direction of current, either the magnetic field will go normal into the plane of the board or out of the plane of the board. Okay. Now, let me imagine that I am passing the current in the clockwise direction in the solenoid. So that this is only the part you can see the solenoid. So it's like a pipe. So you are seeing only the second end. First end, where is it? It is there inside the board. Only second end. You are seeing from the top. Top view this is. So now you are passing the current in the clockwise direction in this. So it will go like this. So therefore, it will produce a magnetic field normal into the plane of the board. Throughout this region, there is a uniform magnetic field. Right, here I will write it as B. Now, to know the direction of force due to magnetic field, we apply Fleming's left hand rule. We don't have any such rule for electric field. Why? Because electric field is not involved with velocity. Magnetic force is involved with velocity. That is the reason why we happen to invent or discover a new rule, that is nothing but what? Fleming's left hand rule, to know the direction of force. So stretch the first three fingers of left hand in such a way that they are mutually perpendicular. Forefinger points in the direction of field, central finger points in the direction of current, thumb points in the direction of force. Now how is my magnetic field? This is my forefinger. Magnetic field is going into the plane of the board. So like this. My forefinger should go into the plane of the board. Now what is my central finger? Central finger is the velocity, current. In which direction it is initially moving? Like this. Initially it is moving. So initial direction velocity only you should consider. So already taking a curve, forget about electric field. There is no electric field at the beginning. So it has to move in a straight line. So therefore this is the direction of velocity. So forefinger in the field, central finger in the direction of what? Velocity, thumb shows the direction of force. So how is my thumb? Pointing upward or downward? It is upwards. So therefore the charged particle, as soon as it enters into the magnetic field, what will happen? It experiences a force in the upward direction. So suddenly it will not move. ऐसा जो आ रहा है वो ऐसा नहीं जाएगा. It will take a curved path. It will go in a circle like this. So this will go in a circular path like this. So whatever the deflection you are getting here, if you get the same deflection here, then what will happen? The net force on this will be what? 0. It will go in a straight line. So in such case what will happen? The net force F equals to, which we have written, QE vector plus QV cross B vector. So this is going to be 0. Force due to electric field downward, force due to magnetic field upward, these two are equal and opposite. So net force will be what? 0, equals to QE plus QV cross B. So you bring this side, this is Q is common, so therefore Q will come this side. So you have only vector E equals to minus of V cross B. What are you trying for? Velocity selector. Negative sign implies that forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in what? Direction. So there is no need to carry out this velocity sign all times. So then you will get velocity V equals to electric field by magnetic field. You see how beautiful is this equation. So electric field is measured in Newton per Coulomb. Electric field is measured in Newton per Coulomb. Magnetic field is measured in Tesla. Newton per Coulomb divided by Tesla is nothing but meter per second. Very surprising. You know velocity is displacement by time. Rate of change of displacement is known as velocity. You have given meter per second. But here a new way, Newton per Coulomb divided by Tesla will give rise to dash. One more question. Meter per second, meter square per second square, or something.